Hello everyone, welcome back to Jeu Magique. Today I'm going to take you through an article about sexism in Japan. And more specifically, it is about a movement called Kutu, which is the combo of shoes, pain, and Me Too. To get started, before we start, I'd like to remind you guys that this is how I use my highlighters. So you would see words and expressions marked in orange, background information in blue, and pronunciation in pink. Also, if you're interested to get my free notes, summary, and audio file, just scan this QR code, which would lead you to my WeChat official platform where you could get all these for free. Okay, without further ado, let's get started. Um, in the title, we could see that heels at high water. Here, high water is the synonym for high tide, which could refer to the fact that heels or high heels are in their prime or are in their glory days. And in the subtitle, Japanese women rebel against painful dress codes at work. Dress codes, I think most of you might be familiar with it. This is how you are expected to dress at a certain occasion, for example, at work. To talk about this Kuto movement, we have to mention Ishikawa Yumi, who was a who was an usher in a funeral parlor. Funeral parlor means reception. She worked always in heels, and when her toes bled, her employer insisted that she should keep wearing those. But she, I think it was more of a complaint rather than trying to launching a social campaign. But she posted, "Why do we have to hurt our feet at work when men can wear flat shoes?" But more and more people came under her posts and agreeing with her and rooted for her. That's why she gathered 18,800 signatures on a petition calling for a ban on employers requiring women to wear high heels, which she submitted to the government last June. So this whole thing started last June, and it hasn't got any official response until today. And let's see what else happened. This campaign is called a Kutu campaign, a pun on Japanese words for shoes and pain, with a nod to the Me Too movement. A pun means it's a word play. Here, play on words. Double entendre, double meaning, innuendo, witticism, quip or quippy, if you want to put it into a French word. An adjective. And here, with a nod to literally means to agree with or select something. You could say the government has given nod to blah 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 blah, just in a sense as the government has mandated or authorized something. More than 60% of Japanese women with jobs have been forced to squeeze. I want you guys to pay attention to this word: squeeze their feet into heels at work, or have witnessed colleagues having to. For those who haven't had the opportunity, not opportunity, haven't have haven't had worn high heels before, I'd like to show you how it's like. Actually, if you squeeze your feet into the high heels, this is how your bones look like. It is literally the worst kind of shoes you could get for anyone. But 60% of Japanese women have to do that. And here, female staff at Takashimaya, a department store, must parade around the shop in 5 centimeter heels. Takashimaya, I think they have a branch in Shanghai, so I've done a little research on them here. And I found some photos. You see, even the lady who is supposed to run the elevator, she has to wear high heels. This is not obvious, but this is around 5 centimeters. If you are a lady, probably you have a better idea than guys. And here, the former defense minister Inada Tomoni felt obliged that she had to do something, felt obliged to totter about in heels, even on the deck of a visiting American aircraft carrier. Let me show you how she looked like. Right here. So everyone else is in uniform, and she is like seriously in a pair of heels. I mean, what was she thinking about? I couldn't do that because it's just, I don't know. Okay, no judgment. And anyway, there are some synonym for the word totter. You have teeter or toddle, which would remind you of a toddler, which means for babies, that they have just learned how to walk. And you could have more synonyms in my notes. Dress codes at many Japanese firms are rigid. Rigid means severe, stern. And I remember the day before yesterday we mentioned sternest in terms of stringent monetary policy. Some ban glasses for women, but not men, on the grounds that they are unflattering. And unflattering literally means unbecoming or unattractive, ugly, hideous, ill-suited, that kind of thing. This is absolutely not fair, because what if people feel uncomfortable to wear contact lenses here, who find contact lenses uncomfortable? Women have always been told to follow the dress code, even if it causes pain, says Miss Ishikawa. Japanese bosses, who tend to be older men, often expect their female underlings to gammon or endure it. Underlings means those who are subordinate to your position or your employers. And we also have the next paragraph. The government has dug in its heels. A former Labour minister who received Miss Ishikawa's petition last year insists that wearing high heels at work is necessary and appropriate. The petition itself has received no official response to date. I have to give you guys some background information here, because it's not just about the heels. After reading this report, I felt like it's more about deep-seated problem with misogyny in Japan. Last year, an MP from Japan's governing party said that women should have multiple children. If they prefer to remain single, they would become a burden on the state later in life. Can you imagine that? That's what their government holds. I mean, maybe it's just one politician. It's not the whole country. And so that explains why the petition hasn't received any official response to date. Or instead of saying to date, you could say when this issue went to press. Japan ranks the second lowest out of the 29 rich countries in the Economist Glass Ceiling Index, which measures equality for women in the workplace. I found this for you guys here. So obviously, Iceland leads the way to women's equality in the workplace, and let's try to find Japan. Okay, Iceland, Sweden, Finland, Norway, France. Let's just start from the end. South Korea, Japan. Here it is. Okay, so it is the second country from the bottom when it comes to gender equality in workplace. And here, but corporate Japan is slowly responding to Q2, which is good, because even if there is not from top to bottom response, corporate Japan is starting to take actions. In late March, Japan Airlines announced that its female flight attendants can kick off their heels and swap skirts for trousers if they choose. All three big mobile phone operators have relaxed their rules on heels. I found something around here, because basically, even if this article is about Japan, the sexism that women face in workplace is so ubiquitous that you will find it very hard to imagine. Even for Western countries, for example, Canada or Norway, that kind of country, they all have this kind of problems, because companies in those countries are forcing female employees to wear high heels, and it was not until last year that Canadian province made it illegal to require women to wear high heels. Sorry, my bad, it's 3 years ago. And I also found an article about why are airlines so keen on the fantasy of the mile high Barbie. Instead of focusing on air hostess, there are sexism against men as well. For example, men are expected to be able to fix everything in your house. If your refrigerator didn't work, if anything broke out, you could just ask a man to fix it. But it is not what they should do. It's not what should be expected of them, because men are already aware of the dangers of DIY. This is just the title, but basically, according to NHS, every year there have been thousands of DIY accidents. You should ask someone professional to do what they are good at, rather than just saying, okay, you're a man, then you should do it. It's not right. Sexism does no good for men nor women, so we should really keep an eye on that. And oops, okay, back to this article. Here, Miss Ishikawa is collaborating with a shoe company to produce chic. Chic is a French word, means like pretty or fancy, heelless shoes. Society is changing, says Miss Ishikawa. We can't be ignored. Pointless rules about footwear may soon be given the boot. This is like a pun, because boot, you could use boot to say your shoes are kind of footwear. But given the boot means dismiss something, or you let someone go, you fire someone, or you could, that also reminds me of defenestrated. So these are the few words that we need to pay attention to, and also from this article we could see how Japanese women are rebelling against painful dress codes at work. To put it into a brief summary, Japanese women's rebel against rigid dressing code at work is a demonstration for the awakeness of sexism rebellion in Japan. And with the leader Ishikawa Yumi's work on forcing companies to relax, how can I put it? To relax their dressing code, where women have to wear high heels. The society in Japan is changing, along with other countries around the world. And that's pretty much it for today's lesson. And if you enjoy my video, please give me a thumb up and just let me know you like it.